With you, I shatter nations. With you, I destroy kingdoms.
Alright, welcome to 2024. Same shtick from last year. Well, the last ideas from last year. Anyway, gonna try to do 2 videos a month, but I don't know. We're gonna hope it works, and I'm gonna not be doing that for February because I'm finding an excuse to do less work. Should probably get to the video. So much like with Zorch, I found this game while just perusing my Steam queue. That's why I find a lot of these games, but I guess Steam knows what I like. Anyway, the main thing that stood out to me was the art design and just how the levels sort of put together from the trailer video, and since I'd recently got my new computer, don't like to think about how much money I spent, but I decided might as well give it a crack because my old computer wouldn't be able to run it. Afterwards, I did see that it was first shown off in Realms Deep, so I'm probably late to the party of everyone knowing about this game, so that's always fun to know. So the game's been built on the GZ Doom engine, much like Head-On and Shrine, those sort of things. There was more that were going to come to mind, but I'm a bit stupid today. And to differentiate it from just standard GZ Doom stuff is they've added some slight sort of combat mechanic stuff to it, as they've added in a dash which I've seen to become more prevalent in games, which I always forgot that I had and I didn't find it that useful in the demo at least, but then again I was only playing on the normal skill, so. Also they added a magic / rage meter thing which increases every time you kill an enemy. They use this for giving you use this to give some weapons some powers upgrade things, except for the pistol because the pistol no one cares about. I guess this will lead me into talking about the weapons, but you start with a pistol which is pretty useless and you replace it pretty much instantly. The hammer, which I'm going to get back to. The shotgun, which fires a V shape of a bunch of projectiles, which I found to be pretty okay. The alt fire doesn't really help it much, it just sets things on fire and one hits some lower tier enemies, but I never really felt like it was that great of a weapon. Next weapon you get after this is the minigun, which I pretty much used throughout most of the game. You don't get an assault rifle or some other thing, you just go straight to the minigun, which is pretty good. The alt fire, I think it's just supposed to deal more damage and maybe home? I'm not quite sure, I didn't pay that much attention, but I found that it drained your magic stuff a bit too quickly for it to become useful for the secondary. Should probably think about this before I start recording that. Final weapon in the demo is the rocket launcher, which is just, I know it's going to sound mean, but it reminds me of the rocket launcher from, I think, Corridor 7. Just with the whole spinning triangle barrel thing. I'm guessing the main difference is this weapon is actually useful, and for the final 2 levels of the game I was actually maining it, which was pretty fun. Now, one thing that they added for the gameplay, which I forgot to put in my notes, but luckily I remembered, is a sort of roguelike upgrade function. As randomly throughout levels you'll find, probably not random, you find these chests which have one of the weapons above it, which with you can use it to get a random of 2 upgrades for that weapon. For the rocket launcher, the main one I remember is like homing stuff, and forgot which other weapon it was, but things like you deal 30% more damage, but you take more damage while holding it, that sort of stuff. No, those were a different thing. Anyway, so these sort of things just give you a slight upgrade to weapons, and I found that if you die, they reset to do different ones, so you could sort of game it a bit of saving if you don't like it, getting killed by enemy and just looping until you get what you want, but I guess you'd just be cheating yourself there. What is about gameplay? Alright, I feel like the game does have some sort of Hexen vibe, because you can backtrack to the previous levels if there isn't a point of no return, which I haven't really seen a benefit for so far, but it also just allows them to flow through together like you're playing a build engine game, but without the end level screen. So one episode is all just one big continuous level. Anything else I should talk about? Once again, I'm not an artist, but I found the visuals of the game to look really cool. As I've always been a sucker for pixel art, as I'm sure I've mentioned numerous times, but I just feel like it's all drawn very well, and I hope that if I ever finally pick up a Wacom tablet, I can start doing pixel art and hope one day to look anywhere decent. But I just feel like it's very highly detailed, but isn't too cluttered. As one main problem I have found with some games, I'm not going to name any, but I've just found the designs to be very overly done, as I've seen it described, I think it was by Yahtzee, as basically a art designer just started scribbling on a piece of paper, and then for a day, and someone just took it and went like, yep, that's going to be the character design. And I just like that wasn't built in the game, to me at least, as when you went up close to the castle textures, you did say it was very detailed, but from a distance it didn't distract you, and none of the enemies were hidden with the backgrounds and that sort of stuff, so everything was well communicated to the player while still holding a good artistic style, which is always a good thing. Alright, now it's time to laugh at the monkey. The footage you've probably been seeing throughout this video, that wasn't my first attempt to play through this game. One thing I haven't really talked about is a lot of the menu stuff is written in Romero Old English, as thus beeth a grand fighter and yada blada, that sort of stuff. Which means my very tired 7 in the morning brain did not realise that I clicked onto the hammer only playthrough, which I got up into the episode boss, well, final boss of the demo, and couldn't beat it and gave up on the game for a bit. Looking back at it, I probably should have realised, because all the trailers and stuff like that were talking about, look at these guns that we've got, and I was just using the damn hammer the whole time. One thing from this playthrough that I found probably would have been more interesting to bring into the guns playthrough is your magic rage thing, for it to be applicable to the hammer in there, because the hammer's pretty useless in the guns playthrough, because you just don't get any of the upgrades for it, and the boomerang ability and rage stuff isn't there. As from the hammer playthrough, I managed to get enough power-up stuff where I was able to basically boomerang it through, words, what am I saying? It would home into enemies, but if I threw it in the right way, you'd be able to throw it past them, and then it would come back and then insta-kill a group of people, which was just a really interesting way to play through the game, but all that sort of lost in the guns way. Did wish the hammer would be buffed a bit more for the hammer only playthrough, because the reason I couldn't get through the final boss is probably for what you're seeing on the screen right now. Yeah, I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed for getting that far without realising that I was forgetting something. So in conclusion, yeah, the game's pretty good. I would recommend playing the demo. It's obviously free on Steam, and hopefully the full game's going to come out. When it does come out, I probably will do a bigger video on it, which is why I didn't really touch on a lot of things in this one, like precisions about what's the word? Brain's forgetting. Intricate detail on weapons and enemies and that sort of stuff. Just because I felt they may change a bit for when the full game comes out, which is also why I put out some of my grievances, because who knows, one stupid 19-year-old might have some sway. Doubt it, but look forward to when the game's coming out. New video hopefully this bloody month.